All right, YouTube. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. Talking Auburn football. Go ahead and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports. Auburn, man, this is a big one for Auburn and LSU. Man, this is the 58th time that these teams have met. LSU leads the series 29-24 and 1. A lot of crazy games, signature games. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. Down in Deep South, college football is king. And on the plains of Auburn, the battle cry is War Eagle. All right, so we talked about this before. LSU leads this series 29-24, and they tied once. And there's been a lot of really eerie, crazy games. You talk about the 1998 earthquake game when Auburn had the opportunity to win the actually play in the national championship against Notre Dame. LSU won that one. 1994, the interception game. Auburn had like crazy interceptions in the fourth quarter, which led to that one. And then we talk about 1996 when the barn burner, you could literally see at I think it was like the left tier of the Jordan-Hare Stadium. You could see the barn burning there. I mean, that's crazy. Then the cigar game in 1999. LSU got their revenge in 2001. And I think the 2016 one was a last notable one where there was like a situation to where LSU actually scored, but there was a penalty. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Les Miles, leading to his firing there. So let's talk about this. LSU 4-2 coming into this Auburn game. They show a lot of explosiveness on offense. And with that massive offensive line that they have there, if you notice, some of you guys that look at YouTube, some of you guys that may or may not, if you notice, they like to attack. When they run the ball, they like to attack the C gap. They like to attack the inner part of the offensive line. And they do a really good job of the run pass option. These guys average 44 points per game. They put up 72 points against in-state Grambling, which is the FCS school. And they're kind of scary, almost 50 points in 2 weeks in a row against Ole Miss and Missouri. Like I said before, they attack the middle of the field, and they do a lot of damage with Logan Diggs. Every time he touches the ball, every time Jayden Daniels, who is the quarterback transfer from Arizona, touches the ball, it's about 6 yards every time they run the football. And it creates a serious imbalance for opposing defenses. Now, the wide receivers for LSU don't make this thing any better. They make it even more challenging. I think Malik Neighbors might be the most consistent, the most explosive wide receiver in the SEC. And he can be a game breaker. And this is something that poses a challenge. He got 771 yards catching and has been a menace to opposing defenses, especially with Auburn having that challenge on third down. Malik Neighbors is definitely a guy that you got to look out for in those situations, whether he's in the slot, whether he's playing the outbound wide receivers. You gotta respect where he is on the football field. But his partner, Brian Thomas, at 6'4", poses an even bigger threat. With those catches, he had a big one against Missouri. So as we look at this LSU team, LSU has 2 losses already. One in the SEC West. But there are some opportunities. You look at LSU's schedule after Auburn, assuming that they beat Auburn. You got that strange matchup against Army where they haven't faced Army since 1931, and they've never played any of the service football teams after that. And then you got Florida, Alabama, Texas A&M down the stretch. Now, the reason why I talk about this, as LSU could potentially be one of the first, well, actually the first two-loss teams that can make the college football playoff, is because, no, traditionally, Florida, Alabama, Texas A&M are not favorable football teams. But LSU has the kind of offense that will put pressure on these somewhat lack of offenses or somewhat inconsistent offenses that could possibly push that needle. Now, we look at Auburn, 3-2, 0-2 in conference play. Albeit all things fall apart, Auburn does not necessarily have a chance in the SEC West, especially with how abysmal that they have played on offense. You know, surprisingly, 29.6 points per game, but that's inflated by the early portion of the season where, you know, you got UMass and Sanford and all of those teams. But when you talk about non-Power 5 competition, Auburn averaging 15 points per game against those teams. And the positive of this is I think Payton Thorne found something. He found something in that Georgia game that could possibly lead to, you know, some level of success down the stretch. He was able to get the ball out. Maybe an incomplete pass, but he got the ball out but didn't get sacked. But what he does have is he has Brian Battie, he has Jerquez Hunter, and I want to see Sean Jackson get some, you know, plays in this because LSU is very vulnerable on defense in the middle portion of the field as far as giving up big plays in the running game. I think Auburn will, I would predict, will, you know, probably have a really run heavy situation in this game to not only milk some clock, but also get some confidence in Payton Thorne to where he can throw the ball downfield intermediately to, Fairweather, get some balls to some other wide receivers in that intermediate stretch of the field and get LSU off balance and keep Auburn's defense off the field, because if you keep Auburn's defense on the field, eventually, now I think it's going to be a stalemate for a little bit. You know, I think it's going to be a stalemate to where Auburn has the personnel to figure Jayden Daniels out in the first part of the football game. But just like Georgia, when things, you know, start to become awry for the offense, I think that's where LSU will start to impose their will against Auburn, especially with that massive offensive line. So one of the key matchup in this game to me is Asante for Auburn, Eugene Asante for Auburn, the transfer from North Carolina. I absolutely do not understand how this guy has not been on the field before this time, and Jayden Daniels. You got to have a spy on Jayden Daniels, and you got to have that spy right up the middle of the football field to really neutralize Jayden Daniels. And my thing is, if I think Jayden Daniels doesn't see a lot of success early, you know, then LSU has to go to some of their other options. And they have a lot of them. Now, it's prediction time. Auburn going on the road against LSU. We still have not seen enough from this offense that would allow me to predict this game favorable for Auburn. I think it's going to be a great football game. My goodness, I really do. I really do. But I think there could be, based on, I don't know what the adjustments have been in the bye week for Auburn, but based on what I've seen so far, I think there's going to be some situations to where Auburn doesn't convert on third down when they need to. They may even give up a turnover. They may even, get a field goal when they needed a touchdown. So here's what I got. Auburn. Now, I actually predicted this game on another show. I predicted LSU 28-17. But I have a change of heart. I think Auburn's going to get a extra possession in the red zone to where they don't score a touchdown when they need to and get a field goal. LSU 28, Auburn 17. LSU starts to push the needle to possibly be the first two-loss team to be in the college football playoff. But if they don't figure the defense out, they won't be able to do it. That's my prediction. LSU 28, Auburn 17. Like this video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.